Thank you. Well, I'll start off with an opening statement, which I know I normally don't, but would just really like to thank all of you. I mean, what an amazing week we had in the terms of media coverage for our UConn game, and then even for our Clemson game. I mean, it was great to hear the buzz and the talk about both of those games last week. Because if you go down to Clemson and lay an egg, nobody's going to care about Thursday's game. So I just really appreciate our fan base. It was fantastic. I've said it on air on the radio. I know our UConn attendance was great. It's 17,000, but I go back to the Sunday before the UConn game, Pittsburgh. We had over 10,000. For a Pittsburgh team right now who's brand new coach, they're rebuilding. They were 0-7 in the league, 9-11 overall, and we still ended up with 10,000 that came out for that ball game. And then our UConn game, it wasn't the pack the house promotion. It wasn't 10,000 free tickets out there. People came and wanted to watch the game. So I take pride in that. Our program takes pride in it. Our players, that we're putting a product out there that I think people are enjoying to come watch. And I challenge you to go look for any men's games or women's games where it was played as clean as ours was on Thursday night. 2 teams combined for 11 turnovers, which I think is pretty remarkable. I don't care, men's or women's, when you get a ball game where UConn had 6 turnovers, I believe, and we had 5, where it was 2 pretty darn good bad basketball teams trying to turn each other over. I mean, it's not like we're just letting each other shoot. But I thought it was a really clean and a very good basketball game for women's basketball, and for one to be aired on national TV.
Jeff, you have 3 first-place votes in the coaches poll. Was one of those yours?
I'm not allowed.
Not allowed to
I'm
vote,
not
or
on
not
that.
allowed to say what
I'm
you
not
did?
on that voting committee. I think there's like 25 coaches, and I'm not one of them. 32. And no, I would not have put us first.
Why not?
Oh, because then there's no place to go. At the end, when it's all over, I'd like to be first. But no, we are not. I'm not one of those 32.
When you took over this thing, is this where you thought it would be, where you hoped it would be, beyond what you thought it would be?
Golly, you know what? I don't really think anybody thought that it would be where it is right now. And I think if you could find somebody that said, "Hey, I thought this is what would be going on," I think they'd be lying to you. As I've said, we took over a program 12 years ago. The one thing when Tom hired me, he talked to me about, "Hey, I just don't want to be a one-hit wonder. I don't want to just have one team that's really good. We go to a deep run in the tournament, and then that's it." He wanted to build a program, and I took that to heart. And that's something over 12 years that I think we've done. Our 1 year after the 09 Final Four team, we're 14-18 or 14-17, but I think a big part of that was because of the injuries that occurred that year. Des Bird was out for the year. Mo missed a lot of it. We had some freshmen that were out for the year because of injuries. But since that, I mean, we've been able to sustain this for over 10 years, which is not easy. I mean, it's taken a lot of work, but you see the results of what you do, and it makes you feel good.
Coach, just looking at Syracuse, their team, as you know, takes almost half their shots from beyond the arc, yet they only make 1/3 of them. Do you change up defensively? What have you go against something like this?
No, I mean, we're not going to change up considerably what we do. Now, we always do play scouting report defense, so we're going to know where the shooters are. I talk to our kids about it. If you only make a third of your threes, that's like making 50% of your twos. So if you don't know much about the game and you're saying, "Oh, they're only a 33% 3-point shooting team," that's actually pretty darn good. So for us, we know we have to defend the 3-point line. We're going to have to rebound the ball well, and then we're going to have to score. I mean, Syracuse is going to press. It's what they do. It's who they are, and then fall back into a 2-3 zone. So we're excited about it. Our kids understand the importance of it. we're at a 3-game stretch right now that I've said, when I looked at the schedule before, as soon as the schedule was released, this is the 3-game stretch that I had circled as I thought our toughest 3 games. Syracuse at home, at Virginia Tech, Miami at home.
You talked about how selling the game to fans requires a lot of offensive talent, a lot of offenses showing it off a little bit. But your defense over the past 3 or 4 games has really been what's, in my opinion, critical towards those victories, especially against UConn and then against Clemson as well. Can you talk about how your practice focus has led to that? So combining the offensive talent with the defensive.
Yeah, we spend all of our preseason working on offense. And then as we start getting into the season, I think we do a really good job of game prep and then strategically planning how we're going to guard the opponent. And I think that's why we get better as the year progresses, because we get more game film. The more game film we have, the easier it is for us to figure out what are your tendencies, what are you looking to do, what each player likes to do. And we've got a great group of young ladies that can follow that plan. I mean, it's one thing to put a game plan into place, but it's a second thing to actually be able to carry it through.
You've had Jazz and Dana just over the last few weeks, amazing. All of us who follow all the time, you've talked about them. How rewarding is that to see them not only do it, but in probably 2 of the biggest games of the year?
No, it's been great because they're starting to see their work pay off. You spend hours in the gym, and finally now you start to see it pay off in some pretty big games. And I think that's really what excites us. I mean, Asia Durr obviously is a top 2 or 3 player out of high school, and then you look at Erica Carter, she was like top 60, top 70. Bianca Dunham, you couldn't even find her anywhere. She wasn't ranked anywhere on anybody's recruiting service. Sam was top 50. Jazz was top 40. We take pride in the fact that, sure, it's nice to get Asia, I'm not going to lie, but we take pride in getting kids that want to get better. As I've said it all along, we get 16 hours a week. It was 8, a month, a summer. It used to be 8 hours a summer. Now it's 16. I'm not making you much better in 16 hours, but I can give you what you need, and then you've got to do it on your own. And that's what we have players that are willing to take what we're teaching them and then go do it on their own, and they've gotten better. And that's something we've been able to do, for the past 8-9 years. Oh, yeah.
Defensively and offensively.
Yes.
With those girls stepping up, and of course, if you said Asia, you know what you're going to get every night. What next steps does this group need to take to get even better? Because it's February, you want to keep climbing. So what steps, what improvements still need to happen?
Well, we go through every game. Like, we'll break down the last 3 games. We'll get stats, and then we'll talk to each player individually. Hey, your turnovers are going up. We have to work on that. For Kylie Shook, for example, I was really proud of her because I had told her last Tuesday, hey, the UConn game, it's a bad matchup for you right now, because one of the things she struggles with is guarding on the perimeter. And we were going to switch 3-4-5. And we talked to her about it, and it takes a pretty mature kid to be able to take that in. She went out, she picked up a quick foul on a drive from the high post, and then got a cheap second foul on a dribble handoff. But I think she played five minutes in that game. But then I had told her at the same time, but now on Saturday, we're going to Clemson, who plays traditional post players, and you're going to need to be prepared to play in that game. And she gets 15 rebounds and plays 32 minutes. Bianca, on the other hand, I thought played fantastic against UConn, and then she played 16 minutes on Saturday against Clemson. So we have players that they're appreciative of each other, and at the same time, they cheer for each other. So one game might be mine, the next game might be yours, but it's never, why am I not getting more playing time? Why am I not the one out there? Because at the end of the day, they know the importance is us winning as a team.
Coach, there's been some speculation recently that after a team's 5th foul in the quarter, maybe going back to the 1+1 system instead of 2 free throws. Your thoughts on that?
I have not heard that. I mean, I've always been a big fan of the bonus. I think it puts pressure on you. I think, it makes you step up there and make two. As soon as they started years ago of the 2 shots before the bonus, when you step up there knowing you're getting 2 shots, it's a lot easier. So I would have no problem with that. I doubt it's going to change, but I'd be okay with it. There's a lot of other rules that I would like to change, but before that.
Coach, piggybacking off the foul question, I went back and looked at that Notre Dame game. The Cards they committed 28 team fouls, and I remember you saying that you're going to have to teach them how to not foul. And I think ever since that game, they've averaged about 14 or 15. So what did you teach?
Well, no, we just talked to them about you have to be able to sit there and play the game as the officials are calling it. In our Notre Dame game, it was called a lot tighter than it has been in a lot of games since then, which is fine. You've got to adjust to that. And we didn't do a very good job of adjusting. If they're going to call you for a hand check, then don't hand check. You've got to be able to understand officials call games differently. As much as everybody wants to say, hey, no, we're consistent, it's not. And that's okay. They're human. So as players, you've got to be able to adjust your game to how the game's being played. And I think our players have done a great job of that.
You played 4 games this year, I think, with 10,000 or more, and you look at your last 3 road games, 1,500, 3,400, 1,100. Does that, playing at home with a crowd like that, does that make your team more motivated? Does it make them more relaxed, more confident? How does it translate into success for your team?
Well, our kids love it. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, that's one thing I will say. When they built the arena downtown, the curtains are fantastic. Because when we get 10,000 and your curtains are down, I mean, it is a great crowd, and the environment is fantastic, and that's what you want. Our fan base, I've always said, is very knowledgeable. We're not just out there screaming to scream. Like, they know what they're cheering for. They understand the game of basketball, and I think that speaks volumes for our fans. Because we'll have the once a year normally where you have to bring a student to the game, and you have an 11 o'clock tip, and you've got 4,000 or 5,000 kids in there that scream just the entire time. It doesn't matter whose team scores, they scream. Which is great because you'd rather have that than nobody there. But like when you come to our ball games, they know what they're cheering about. Even if we've struggled, for 4 or 5 possessions, they'll start to cheer to try to get us going. So I've been really impressed over the years with the knowledge of our fans.
Coach, February is the Play for K Free Throw Challenge month. Kind of explain that a little bit, what's going on with it.
Yeah, our Play for K, it's a free throw challenge that's put out by the KL Foundation, which I think is a wonderful fundraiser for them. You're able to go on and donate you can donate a set amount if you want, or you can donate per free throw made. And right now, it's really not going to cost you much if you donate per free throw made, since we were 2 for 3 in our first game in February. So I think we play 8 games, so you're looking at 16 made free throws. So you can put about $10-20 up there per free throw and you'd be okay. Now, your average of what they've done is most teams on the average will make about $75 a month. So I'm challenging our fans, everybody that follows me on Twitter, on social media. We led the country last year with this challenge and raised over $8,000. And, I would love to see us be able to up that and come close to 10. Because it's for a great cause. It's, you're trying to raise money for cancer research. And everybody here has somebody that cancer has affected. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.